G'day everybody, Spud here from Spud's Games. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Tonight's video, I'm going to be running you through three things. My Sega Mega Drive collection, my Sega Mega CD / Sega CD collection, and also my Sega Nomad. Stay tuned. So for me, the Mega Drive is probably the most nostalgic console in my collection. Up until about 3 years ago, I had a really big Mega Drive collection, probably 2 or 3 times the size of what you see here. But I decided to sell it off and go for an EverDrive. And that was purely based on space saving. I was just starting to run out of space. I managed to pick up an EverDrive quite cheap, and I decided to go down that path and sell off my Mega Drive collection. However, since that day, I've always kind of regretted it, and I've actually started collecting back for the Mega Drive not long after I just sold everything. So I just couldn't let go of the attachment that I had to the Sega Mega Drive. I think I've made it pretty clear throughout my other videos that I was a Sega kid growing up. I started out the Commodore 64 in fact, but then it went to the Master System and then the Mega Drive. I didn't own a Mega Drive 1, I went straight to a Mega Drive 2, which is the smaller, slim version of the Mega Drive. Now, started probably in the late primary school and then transferred over into high school. I played this console daily. You know, I loved all the games that come with it, especially the Sonic series. That was my favorite game, especially Sonic 3. I just loved that game and I couldn't get enough of it. And funny enough, I never knew, similar to what the Sega Saturn story was, I never really knew about the Mega CD until I started collecting video games much later on. And also while I was collecting, the Nomad popped up. I'd never heard of a Nomad before. I actually don't think it was released in Australia, but I could be wrong. So if I am wrong, feel free to comment below. And once I saw that Nomad, I realised I had to get that as well, because for those who don't know what a Sega Nomad is, essentially it's the handheld version of a Sega Mega Drive. Now, moving on to the games I've got in my collection. I have about 30 Sega Mega Drive. There's a couple of Genesis games in there as well. So for those who don't know, the Genesis is just the NTS version of the Sega Mega Drive, the American version of it. I have, I think, about 20 Mega CD / Sega CD games. I have one Mega Drive 1 console. I actually have two, sorry, one's a spare. I have the one Mega CD 1, or version 1, which is the one that sits underneath the Mega Drive. Down the front there, you'll actually see I have a Sega CD and a Sega Genesis attached to that. Now the good thing about the Mega CD and the Sega Genesis and the Sega Mega Drive is, it doesn't matter really what version you've got, they all go together and they all work together. So you can put a Mega Drive 1 on top of a Sega CD, and as long as you've got the right BIOS and frequencies, etc., then everything should work fine. Similarly, you can put a Mega Drive 1 onto a Mega CD 2, you can put a Mega Drive 2 onto a Mega CD 1. It's just that they all work together and they're all interchangeable, which is really handy. And then we've got the Nomad over here. So the Nomad is just a portable Sega, I said Mega Drive before, but it's actually a portable Sega Genesis. It does play some Sega Mega Drive games fine, but it's really designed for the American market and the Sega Genesis games. Just like the Nomad over here, even though they're not shown, the Mega Drive is fully boxed. The box is stored somewhere else away from where I am at the moment. And the Mega CD is also boxed, and that comes with a really cool VHS. Now, it didn't come with the Mega CD itself, but the person I bought it off actually come with it's like a how to use the Mega CD VHS, which was really cool. So as for playing setup, the way I play my Sega Mega Drive and Sega Mega CD, as for video output, as with most of my retro video consoles, it's always RGB SCART. The Sega Mega Drive was able to output RGB natively, so there was no modifications needed. I have added in a 50-60 Hz switch to the Sega Mega Drive, just so I can get those, I suppose, frequencies and speeds right when I'm playing cross regions in the Mega Drive. And then for the controllers, I use two genuine Sega 6-button controllers. So they're from the Mega Drive 2 series, I think. But I think they rival the Saturn controllers as probably the best controllers I've used, but I still class the 6-button Mega Drive controller, this style of 6-button Mega Drive controller, as the best controller I've ever used. Now to make them wireless, there's an 8-bit do kit that essentially you take out the PCB that comes standard with these controllers and the cord and replace it with their own Bluetooth PCB. And then there's just a couple of receivers at the front here, which just plug into the front. They're the Bluetooth receivers. They pair with the controller and they do a really fantastic job of making the controllers wireless. I don't notice any lag. Mind you, I'm not that great of a video game player, but I don't notice any lag. They're really responsive, and because I've done it that way, I've kept the weight, the feel, the look of that 6-button controller intact. So just on modifications that I've made to the consoles themselves, the Sega CD and Genesis CD in the front there, that's just stock. I bought that, got that in a bundle, so I've just left that it all works fine. As for the Mega Drive one over here, that does have a 50-60 Hertz switch on the back, as you can probably hear there ticking. The Mega CD, a long time ago, before all these fancy new inventions were made for modding consoles, there is actually a switch, and the guy who owned this, I think he sent it over to Japan, he told me to get this done, or the US. And it has different regions selectable, has Mega CD, Sega CD, and also Sega CD Japanese, and I think Sega CD for the US, and Mega CD for Japan or Asia. It has three selectable, it has a switch there, and there's 3 things you can select. Now just on that, I was going to tidy that up and just region-free BIOS it, so go and buy a new BIOS and just make the whole thing region-free so I didn't have to keep switching. But during my investigations, I actually had this opened up because it wasn't reading CDs properly, so I thought I'd give it a clean, and while I'm at it, I'll do the region-free BIOS as well. But as it turns out, the reading CDs wasn't so much of an issue. It was just a bit of gloop and grease on the lens, and once I cleaned that, it worked fine, hasn't missed a beat. But during the research process for region-free BIOS chips, I found that I didn't need to do it because I have an EverDrive. Now, if you have an EverDrive, you can actually pick which region BIOS you want your Mega CD to boot into, or Sega CD to boot into. So if you wanted the Japan, the PAL, the US, they're all selectable. You just put the BIOS on the EverDrive itself, and when you bring up the EverDrive menu, you just scroll down to, I have a Mega CD folder, and I pick the BIOS that I want according to what game I'm going to play, and it runs it fine. Now, if you're going to do that, and you're going to pick different regions that run at different frequencies, then you're going to need a 50-60 Hertz, otherwise your games won't run correctly and you might come into some problems. So if you are going to do that process, then I highly recommend the minimum you do is a 50-60 Hertz switch on your Mega Drive. And I think you can get switchless ones now as well. Now, I never went to that length, but I'm pretty sure you can get switchless ones, and you just hold a couple of buttons on your control pad that flick between the different 50 or 60 Hertz. So that's it for the Mega Drive and Mega CD. So it has been hard modded, but I don't use that hard mod anywhere now because I'm worried about breaking it. So I just leave it in PAL, so what it comes stock with, and then if I want to boot into a different region, I just use the EverDrive, pick the BIOS I want, and it does it that way. As for the Sega Nomad, that's full stock. It had the original screen when I purchased it. I actually purchased 2 of these, and I sold one to a friend as well, who's right into his Sega stuff. So I had 2 of these. The first thing I did was recap them. From memory, I don't think they had any issues with the caps, but it was always recommended to change the capacitors, and it wasn't that hard to do anyway, much easier than what the Game Gear is. So I changed the capacitors, and then in this particular one, I also pulled out the old TFT LCD screen, which was horrible. It was very hard to read, or very hard to see. It wasn't a good screen at all. And I've just modded it for a new brighter composite LCD screen. It just taps into the composite signals of the Nomad itself. There is RGB screens you can get now, a little bit more expensive, a little bit more of a difficult mod, but they rely on the RGB colors rather than just a composite signal. So when the screen is as small as it is, for me, it didn't really, I mean, it does make a difference, obviously, but composite was fine because the screen was that small, it was hardly noticeable. So I stuck with composite just for the price and the ease of the modification, but there are RGB screens out there, little 3.5 ones, and instructions on how to do it as well. So if that interests you, do some research. I'll put some links in the comments as well. It does come with the battery pack. I haven't modified the battery pack. There are modifications out there with rechargeable batteries and, you know, micro USB or USB-C charging, etc. I haven't gone to that length. I've just left the battery pack as stock. They're that hard to find, those battery packs in good condition. I just don't want to go ahead and have to change anything in case I break something, and you know, the last thing I want to do is destroy that battery pack because they are so hard to find. So in regards to the value of the collection I've got here, between the Nomad, the Mega CD, the Sega CD, the Sega Mega Drive, etc., it all comes to about $4,000. The 30 Mega Drive games total about $2,300. It's about $1,000 worth of Mega CD stuff and the Nomad. So it's quite a small collection, but it packs a bit of a punch because I do have some rare titles, particularly around the Mega Drive games. And I'll just run you through probably the top 3 most expensive that I have in my collection. So coming in at number 3 for the most valuable Mega Drive games that I have in my collection, that goes to Aero the Acrobat number 2. For those of you who haven't played Aero the Acrobat before, it's essentially a bat that gets, I think, that doesn't escape, it gets stolen, I think, from the circus. Yeah, he's a bat, hence Aero the Acro-bat. And it's a fun platformer, nice, bright, colourful, good gameplay, quite hard to find as well. I didn't even actually know it existed on the Mega Drive until I found a copy of this in a while. So price charting has it sitting at about $180 Australian complete, which I think this is, yep. Complete copy, about $180 Australian. Coming in at number 2 for the most valuable Mega Drive games that I have in my collection, that goes to one of my favourite games, Gunstar Heroes. Now, for those of you who haven't played Gunstar Heroes before, if you're a fan of run and gun games, I highly recommend you give this a go because it is one of the best run and gun games you'll ever find, in my opinion. It's bright, it's colourful, excellent controls, excellent gameplay, good story, quite hard to find. Especially complete, which I think this one from memory is, yeah. So that's a complete copy of Gunstar Heroes. Price charting has it sitting at, for a complete copy, about $280 Australian. So coming in at number 1 for the most valuable, this is the most valuable Mega Drive game I have in my collection. That goes to Echo Jr., which is the obviously the son of Echo the Dolphin. So it continues that line of story. Very similar gameplay. It was available in the US on the Genesis, but for the PAL regions, I'm pretty sure the reason why this is so expensive, it was only available in Australia. All other PAL regions missed out, so all those other PAL regions and those big collectors are trying to source them from Australia. So I think that's mainly the reason why this game is so expensive. It is an Aussie soft copy, I think, and complete. So yeah, complete copy of Echo Jr. and price charting has this sitting at a whopping $570 odd Australian for a complete copy. So coming in at number 1 by a long shot. So when we're looking at Mega CD games now for value, the 3 top games I've got are Sonic CD. Once again, one of my favourite games. I've got a complete copy here and price charting has that sitting at about 80 Australian dollars. Then we've got number too, which is absolute shock because when I picked this up, I've actually sold a couple of these in bundles because I didn't think they were worth much. So something's happened, or price charting's off a little bit, but price charting has Yamami's Mystery Mansion sitting at about 120 Australian dollars for a complete copy. So if you know why it's so expensive, let me know, because every Mega CD bundle I picked up, I reckon had a copy of this in it. So I'm curious as to why this might have shot up in price all of a sudden. Nice to know, but. And number one, for the most expensive Mega CD game I have in my collection, that goes to Mortal Kombat. And really good game, this, or really good version of Mortal Kombat, this. Really good controls. I enjoy playing it. It's one of the best fighters I have across the whole range. I play this quite often. So if you're a fan of the Mortal Kombat series and you get a chance to play this on the Mega CD, give it a shot, because it's quite a good game. And price charting has this, I think, sitting at about 130, 140 Australian dollars for a complete copy. So it's nice to have in my collection. So I don't have a lot of Mega CD games, so I've just quickly breezed through the top 3 in value that I have. And now what I'll do is I'll go through the top 3 or 4 games that I recommend that are in my collection that you need to play. So first up, I'm going to give a notable mention. I'm not going to talk about this game too much because everyone knows what it is. This would be number 1, except for it'd be too cliche for me to class this as number 1 because everyone would know, or everyone would expect it to be number 1. But for me, Sonic 3. Fantastic game. It's just, I spent hundreds of hours playing this in my youth. Great nostalgic memories for me, and it's just a fantastic game. Fits nicely in the Sonic series. Has a lot of new elements implemented in this particular game over Sonic 1 and 2, and it was a bit of a wow factor when it was released. So I can't rave highly enough of it, but I'm not going to talk about it too much because everyone will go, oh, that's just a cop-out. So, well, I'm not going to have it in my top 3 or 4 game must-plays. It really is, but it's not. One Sonic game that is in my notable mentions is, I spoke about it with the Mega CD, it's Sonic CD. Fantastic platformer game, fits really well into the Sonic series of games, and it's kind of a forgotten Sonic actually. Not many people talk about it, but for me it's one of the, it's just behind Sonic 3 is probably the best Sonic game of all time. And if you have a Mega CD, then you need to give this a run because it does have some element of new gameplay in it that you're probably not used to with the Sonic game. It runs really well, and yeah, I can't speak highly enough, especially as a Mega CD game. If you own a Mega CD or a Sega CD, then you need to have this in your collection, and you need to give it a run. Next one, this game doesn't get talked about very often at all, particularly around the developer that made this game, because the developer that made it went on to make much bigger and much better things. Although this is not one of their best and greatest games, I think if you're a fan of this particular company, then you probably need to give this a run. It's not a bad game at all. It's a very long game, a very complicated game, but what RPG isn't, I suppose, and that's Rings of Power. So you may have heard of it, especially if you're into the Naughty Dog games, because this is one of the first games that Naughty Dog released, or made, I should say. Electronic Arts actually published this, but it was a Naughty Dog game. And as I said, it's quite difficult. It's very long. I've never finished this. I wouldn't even attempt to finish it. And the cool thing about this game, if I just open it up, you can tell by how long the game's going to be by the manual, and it's a book. But yeah, when I picked this up, it had this map included in it. I don't know, and people might be able to out there comment if it was supposed to be included or not included. But it comes with like a. Just be careful to open this up. A full map of Upscaled. So, but yeah, if you know what this map is, I mean, obviously it's a map of the game. But was it supposed to come with the game, or wasn't it supposed to come with the game? Because, you know, in all honesty, if it was supposed to come with the game, then they needed to make the case a little bit bigger, because it's a hard struggle to fit it all in and get that game case closed. As you can hear it popping up. So, but yeah, if you're a fan of Naughty Dog, fan of RPGs, long RPGs, engrossing RPGs, then give Rings of Power a run for sure. Another game that doesn't get much of a mention, but I actually love playing this game as well. It's a shoot 'em up, and I do like my shoot 'em ups. I'm not any good at playing them, but I do like playing them. You know, I die a lot and continue a lot, but everyone does. So a side-scrolling shooter called, I think I pronounced this right, it's called Gwynog or Gwynog or something along those lines, spelled G-Y-N-O-U-G. Side-scrolling shoot 'em up. It's great. I love playing it. It's not that difficult. Has a really good gameplay, and it's one of those ones where you're not a spaceship. I think you're like an angel, so you're a dude with wings and fly up and down the screen shooting things. So if you're into your shoot 'em ups and you love your Mega Drive and you haven't heard of this or played this before, I highly recommend you give this game a run. It's quite fun to play, and I've spent many hours since I've picked it up playing it. So I'm still not any good at it, but yeah, give it a run. Gwynog or Gwynog, or I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but that's the one there. So my two out and out favourite games on the Mega Drive. It wasn't really a difficult choice. There was a lot of games here that sort of all in the same sort of area of gameplay that I like. So, you know, picking 3 or 4 of them wasn't too hard. And the next 2 were just standouts for me as the top 2. The first one, I spoke about this before, Gunstar Heroes, and I'm happy to speak about it again. It's a run and gun type shooter, so think of sort of your Contras and that type of things. It's along those lines, different, but along those lines for gameplay. Fantastic game, real high energy, really fast, good music. And you know, what more could you ask for? It's I love it. So if you haven't given this a run, I highly recommend you give this a run. And it sits at number 2 in my must plays on the Sega Mega Drive. So number 1 for my must plays, or you must haves, or you must give a run on the Sega Mega Drive that I have in my collection anyway. I don't like talking about other games I don't have in my collection if I haven't played them. So I can only talk about what I've got in front of me. And number 1 game that I spend most time playing at the moment, Thunder Force 4. I love this game. It's a shoot 'em up for those people who have never played the Thunder Force series. I also love I think it's Thunder Force 5 on PlayStation 1. I think it's 5. I love the whole series of Thunder Force. It's just got that right balance for me between gameplay and difficulty. You know, I find I don't die a lot in this, which is always handy. And for that reason, I just seem to enjoy it more. The pace is good. As I said before, the gameplay is excellent. Controls are good, and I love it. I actually love the whole Thunder Force series. So as we do more collections, you'll probably find more Thunder Force games slip into the top 4 or 5 games that you must play for that particular console. But for the Sega Mega Drive, in fact, for the whole lot here, my number 1 definitely must play is Thunder Force 4. So that's it from me, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for, I suppose, tuning in and watching through to the end and having a look through my Mega Drive, Mega CD and Nomad collection. I hope you got something out of it. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try and answer them. I do try and get back to everyone who writes a comment. If you do want to keep seeing more videos, please subscribe because the more people subscribe, the more it tells me to make more videos. And I've got a whole collection. I've probably only done videos on a quarter of what I have here. So, and when lockdown finishes, it's going to give me another opportunity to travel to the other place where I have a lot of my games stored as well to bring them down and showcase them. So, if you like the videos, please subscribe because it tells me that you want to see more. So, until next time.